going on, Jerome's? So the Packers and Lions Thursday night showdown is in the books, and the Lions and it's absolutely bat bleep insane and hilarious. We're just watching Packers fans complain about one-sided officiating. It's kind of awesome, man. And did the refs miss a couple blatant shots to Jordan Love's head, a couple of OPIs, a couple of holdings? Yes. How's it feel? Good times. Anyways, but the Lions did allegedly prevail 34-31, putting the Packers basically in the rear view of the Vikings. So if and when the Vikings beat the Falcons on Sunday, they can go 2 full games ahead of the Packers, as well as the first of the 2 head-to-heads in their back pocket. And the Lions, I mean, things don't really change for the Lions. Basically, the Vikings need Detroit to slip up a time or 2, and the Vikings need to win out. That's essentially what's going to happen the rest of the way. And PFF updated their power rankings and odds and stuff. And the Packers, now their chances of winning the division is down to less than 1%. Actually, their playoff chances went from over 99% to 95%, which is kind of funny. The Vikings are now at 99.9% to make the playoffs, which, as a Minnesota sports fan, you just never feel comfortable. But also, you have the Vikings at 11% to win the division, 11% to win the conference, and 5% to win the Super Bowl. And playing with the ESPN NFL playoff machine. So there's been a lot of questions about what happens if the 10-2 Vikings win out and the 10-2 Eagles win out. So we went through and we simulated, and it comes down to. So the Vikings and the Eagles would have the same conference record. They would have the same record in common games. It would come down to strength of victory, I believe. So by the skin of their teeth. So we'll see there. Anyways, but of course that can shift too, depending on what happens with the record of the teams, the respective Eagles and Vikings beat. But going through, so got the Lions winning. All right, so let's say the Vikings beat the Falcons. Then you got the Eagles taking on the Panthers. Week 15. So this is the one. This is our Alamo. This is the Waterloo. This is the one that we need, man. This is our battle of Thermopylae. Josh Allen, one time. Un timeo. Vikings beat the Bears on Monday night. Waiting all day for Monday night. Then, as you see, both the Lions and the Vikings are 12-2. So they would still, the Lions would still have the tiebreaker because they've only played one of the head-to-head so far. And they got the Eagles. Eagles and the Steelers. Keystone State. All right, so just for schnitz and giggles, let's get the Eagles to 15-2 as well, and then we'll see how the tiebreakers parse themselves out. So they got the Vikings at the Seahawks. Then you got the say that the Lions win out, except for that Bills game, and of course Week 18 against the Vikings. Then you got the Eagles at the Commies. That'll be a tough game. Let's go, Jaden Daniels. Then Vikings beat the Packers. And then Lions. Hey, San Francisco, way to just show up at the end of the year. Fantastic, man. Then the Vikings, of course, beat the Lions, and then you have the Eagles. Where are the Eagles? Yeah, it's the Eagles beat the Giants. So the Vikings, if this happens, which it's not implausible, that you have a 3-way logjam or actually a 2-way logjam at 15-2 up at the top. So the Vikings get the tiebreaker over the Eagles. Like I said, I believe they would have the same record in common games. They would obviously have the same record in conference. So I think it would come down to strength of victory. Either way, all the Vikings can do is just win out and let the chips fall where they may. And it also is a scenario where the Lions could conceivably win out. Say they beat the Bills here, except for Week 18 against the Vikings. Both end up at 15-2, which the Vikings ending up as a 15-2 wild card is just so stupid. But the Bills, I don't ask for much. I don't expect anything because think about it, like throughout history, like when the Vikings have needed another team or another result to go their way, it just never happens, right? So I think it's a lesson for life. Have a positive attitude, believe in everyone, but do all the work yourself. That's basically what it comes down to. But for the Vikings, it's pretty straightforward. Just win out. All right, that's the Viking schedule from 2022. It's another video. Just win out. All right, so beat the Falcons, beat the Bears, beat Seattle, beat the Packers, and beat the Lions. Now, The Vikings should be favored in the next 4 games. Falcons, obviously, Bears at Seattle. Even in the Emerald City, I think that the Vikings will be favored there. Then also at home against the Packers. Then Lions, who knows what's going to happen there. All right. And just win, baby. Just win. And the Lions, we've covered this. Buffalo at Chicago isn't going to be easy. At San Francisco. Hey, Brock Purdy one time. All right. But it doesn't matter unless the Vikings essentially win out. Right, and it just don't be concerned about anything else, just one game at a time. And I'm not gonna lie, man, watching that game against the Packers, that junior varsity defense that they've had to patch together, Vikings can do a little something. I can't believe that Jordan Love didn't expose the practice squad defense that the Lions rolled out there. But they still gave up a ton of points. They still gave up a ton of yards. Josh Jacobs punching the end zone. Should have been 4 times, except for that OPI on Watson was kind of thin. Again, it is beautiful seeing Packers fans complain about officiating. It's kind of great, man. But, yes, the Vikings can beat the Lions. The Vikings can march in there, win in Week 18. Hopefully it means something. And then guess what? Can the Vikings snatch that 1 seed away like that Debo snatched away that chain? My grandma gave me that chain. That's right. And we're going to whip some buddy's ass. Where you've seen Detroit the last couple of games. They're flawed. They are a flawed team, and they are just hurting they're just asking to get beat. They're just begging, right? They had a near-run thing against the Packers. They should have lost against the Bears. Obviously should have lost against the Texans. There's a lot of cracks in the facade. I mean, this easily could have been a 4-loss team, but they're tiptoeing through the tulips, but they're going to get theirs. And the Vikings, I feel like, are knocking down all the wood, relatively healthy and peaking at the right time. And I think that these are 2 teams that are heading in disparate directions. So I say bring it. I say bring it, man. I think that this certainly is within reach, and we'll see. We'll see what happens, man. Anyways, that is it. Your thoughts are thoughts. Look at the NFC playoff picture. You guys are the best you have to do. Skull, production value.